Hello and welcome to the Now Spinning Magazine podcast with me, Phil Aston. And my guest today is one of the most distinctive voices in rock music, a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, former member of Deep Purple and Trapeze, the creative
Yeah.
force behind some of my favorite solo albums, plus Black Country Communion, collaborations with Joe Bonamassa, more recently Steve Vai, Tony Iommi, Joe Satriani, and with a career spanning over 5 decades and a voice that continues to astonish. Renaissance man himself, welcome Glenn Hughes.
Thank you, Phil. Good morning from California.
Welcome. Well, you've got your first album, first solo album coming out for 9 years, the first one since Resonate. And
Yeah.
for me, Glenn, I have to say I think it's your best one since Soul Mover. I think it's stunning, absolutely brilliant album.
Thank you.
Now, one of the track that's been chosen for the first single is Chosen, the title track.
Correct.
And I absolutely love this. It's so powerful. It feels almost spiritual in how it's been put together.
Right.
I mean, what's the story behind this track, Glenn?
You know, Phil, I don't know if you, I think you've been following my career. I can feel that you've been following my career. So, I got sober 30 years ago. And since that time, I've changed everything. I only write music and lyrics now about the human condition. Maybe I used to write fiction in the 70s and 80s. But for me, when I turned my life around, I just figured I have a purpose. Purpose is to sing, as you know, but more importantly, my purpose is to let people know about recovery from every kind of things you can imagine. So for me, these albums I make, all the solo albums and the stuff I make with Black Country, the lyrics are definitely, pinpointed at the spiritual condition.
Yeah.
And Chosen, the album Chosen is all about awareness and about living in the present moment.
Yeah, because that's something you've said, isn't it? That this is how this album's come together. And the next track on the album called Heal, which is one of my favorites. I believe it's time to heal, Lord, it's time to heal. It's a fantastic vocal. I think it's one of the best bass sounds you've ever had on an album as well.
I think so.
It's just stunning. And I also love, Glenn, the way that all the instrumentation, the guitar player and everything serves the song. There's nothing out of place here. It all feels as if everything is rotating around your vision that you had for each composition.
Thank you for the bass sound. I've been working on that for a while. I think my bass sound was better in Trapeze. It was a bit muddy in Deep Purple. But over the past few years, I've been really concentrating on the bass as well as the vocals, as you can imagine. So thank you for that comment. And Phil, I haven't done that many interviews, so you're one of the first people that have told me you've heard the album. It's personal. All my solo work is personal. It's about not so much about me, it's about us as humans, So again, the album is written in a good frame of mind, also dealing with what goes on between birth and death.
Yeah.
And not being frightened,
I mean, it is very uplifting. I put down it's very emotive, inspirational. It made me feel really upbeat listening to it. I mean, we live in pretty dark times, and I just felt as I traversed through the first listening of the album, how much it was making me smile, how much it was really lifting my spirits. I mean, the next track, Into the Golden, is another one of my favorites as well. I love the whole album, but it kind of feels like, I've read your book, the autobiography, and I want to mention that for readers and viewers because everyone should have a copy. Yeah. But it kind of made me feel classic albums like Play Me Out, Hughes, Purple, and everything. They were made through a lens of what you call your disease, your addiction. But for us as fans, we never noticed that because we just loved the albums and we just wanted you to be recognized as a talent that you have. I think what I'm trying to say is that with this album, I get the feeling, and obviously your last few solo albums have been similar, but especially with this one, I get the feeling that you're totally nowhere else but in the song and the art that you're creating.
Right.
This feels very powerful.
Phil, I've been doing this for 50 plus years, and And, the older I get, the more I understand that lyrics are very important to me. I can't listen to the lyrics I wrote in the 70s. It's ridiculous. So for me, being a brother to people and, it's not, it ain't, it's easy to make an album, but I go through a lot of pain writing what I'm thinking and singing about. I'm telling you everything.
Yeah.
Um, I, I'm a man of my word, and you can't put a genre on Glenn Hughes, can you? Really?
No, you can't. You can't.
It's like I came from the trio of Trapeze, which was very funky, as you know. Then
Yeah.
got sidetracked being in Deep Purple, which was very classic rock. And then I had a meltdown, and then I put Hughes through all together, and the history of my music, and
Yeah.
it's yes, it's rock orientated, but you know that there's an R&B soul fanatic in my work,
There certainly is.
and I've worked and know a lot of American, very very prolific black artists, Stevie Wonder for itself, and I am that artist that you just never know where I'm going to go with my work. But it's always going to be in the box of, well, we all know Glennie was in Deep Purple. He's that rock icon from the 70s with the long hair. But trust me, it's more than that.
I think many of your fans, and I am one of them. I mean, Sue, my wife, her favorite track, I think, is Coffee and Vanilla from the album Feel.
All the
Um,
best.
yeah, which is a great album. And again, that was very soul and funk, wasn't it? And then the Underground Kitchen one, you've done, you
And
never know
Phil,
what's
I
going to
mean,
come
let me
next.
stop you there. Let me stop you there for a second. You see, you're talking about albums like Feel and First Underground, Nuclear
Yeah.
Kitchen. And, for me, and Eat Soul Mover, in fact, these albums are much more towards the very soulful rock, Glenn. And people have been asking me about Chosen. How come we haven't got that? And I say very distinctly, well, last year when I was writing this album, I was in that kind of feeling to do this kind of an album. And by the way, I'm working with a record label that really only operates in rock music. They don't understand anything that I do unless it's pure rock. And don't get me wrong, Phil, I don't make music for that label, but this is the last album I'll make for them. So I figured if I'm going to do a follow-up to Resonate, I think I better make an album that generates more of the rock audience.
Yeah. But it does have a very, I still think a lot of the tracks have a very soulful feel in the way that the vocals delivered. I just
Thank
feel
you.
it has I think there's more to this. I've got all the things around me. Yes, Into the Fade, for instance. Come and go.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
beautiful ballad, Glenn.
Thank you, man. That's a song about, people come into our lives and they go. Some people stay for two
Yeah.
weeks, some people stay for 20 years and they go. And and I am the universe, and what passes through me is life. I am life. I'm not trying to be life. I'm at an age now where I don't know how much time I've got left, but I'm really realizing that I am the universe, and I am a God's child, and however much time I've got left, I just want to be a portrayer of goodness.
Do you feel that in some ways, do you feel closer to those we've lost? And I know Tommy Bolin was one of the first
Yeah,
funerals you ever experienced, but obviously since then we've lost so many. We've just lost
yeah,
Ozzy. Do you feel that? I mean, on, on my T-shirt, it says music is the healer and the doctor, and
yeah.
you've
I
mentioned
love it.
music is the healer.
Yeah,
I think. Do you feel that your kind of faith plays a big part in your
it
music?
does.
Do you feel that it's become, as you've gone through life and where you are now, it's even a stronger bond
You
towards
know,
your creativity?
so you're mentioning people we've lost, and let's talk about. Obviously, you're talking about people we know about. There
Yeah.
are obviously people that died that have not been prolific, if you will. But I've lost, for instance, Mel Galley and Tommy
Yes.
Bolin and Dave Holland
Of course. Yeah.
and John Bonham and
Yeah.
Gary Moore, and it's like the list is endless of very, 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 and of course Ozzy last week. What about that?
Yes.
I mean, it's just unbelievable when you lose friends that I guess are icons to people, but they're my family. It's difficult, and I have. to ask myself the question, how come you're still doing it, Glenn? How come, number one, you are still doing what you do, and how come you're able to do it? And the fact is I don't see myself being one of these guys that stops working and then there's the next, then I'm the next one that goes. That's not going to be me. I'm a very active human being. And my music is, especially with Chosen, it was quite painful to record that album because I'm letting you know about a lot of stuff with me. Like the Addiction album was very personal, as you
Yes,
know.
it was quite a
But
dark album. Yeah.
Chosen for me is letting people know where I'm at spiritually. Because I mean, I can't really talk about religion because I'm not really religious. I believe in God, of course, but I'm more about spiritual connections these days. Spiritual progression. I've studied Buddhism for 15 years,
Yeah.
and I live in that time frame.
So in the moment, literally
I do.
the present, there's nothing
If
else but that.
if I'm talking to you right now, I mean, I'm leaving soon, but I can't think about what I'm doing today. I've got to think about right now. I'm talking to you, and I'm in a really good place in my head because my head talks all kinds of bullshit to me. Let me tell you, but I'm in a really. I live in a beautiful home. I've got everything. I mean, I got no complaints in life.
It's because it's been one heck of a journey, and I just wondered, how do you keep, as you say, where you are in your life now? How do you keep yourself so positive and so driven to create like you do?
I'm surrounded by a loving wife and dogs.
Of course.
We're up here on the hill, overlooking the ocean, and you got a great place to raise animals. I surrounded by love, Phil. I mean, it's. I say music is the healer and love is the answer. That's what I've always
Yeah.
said. For me, if I can live in that world of just pure love, and don't listen to that voice in my head that tells me all kinds of rubbish. We
Yeah.
all have the voice in the head. All of us have that voice in the head. Some are loud, some are not. But if I can just stay in awareness of my mind telling me all kinds of bullshit, if I can just smile and go, okay, you're there, but you're my friend, I'll just move on.
Yeah. I guess the other thing is that as you go through life, and us as fans, as we follow musicians like yourself, is that earlier on it was death through misadventure with somebody, somebody unfortunately passed away, like Tommy Bolin. But now, of
Right.
course, all of us, when you look across the audience, because you've got, the audience has grown with you. Obviously, there's lots of young people coming up as well, but a lot of people in the audience have also suffered loss, not necessarily
Yeah,
people.
I know.
So all of us are feeling life very differently to the songs that were sung in the 70s and the 80s. We
Right.
were all like kids. So
Yeah.
I think what I'm trying to say is that lyrically, I feel that your songs now have more meaning, not just because, as you said, lyrically you're more in touch with what you want to sing about, but I feel that
Mhm.
lyrically it's more powerful now to the listener because of
Oh,
what we've
God,
all
yeah.
been through.
And again, that started with From Now On, all those years ago. And I made a conscious decision when I got clean and sober, a very conscious decision that I would just become a new version of Glenn. And that new version started with a heart attack and the rest, the Betty Ford Center and my recovery and long years of recovery and building my career back up again and having a lot of new friends.
Yeah.
And Phil, I'm one of the lucky ones. A lot of my friends didn't make it. A lot of my friends weren't so lucky. I mean, how come, you know, when I look back at my band Finders Keepers before Trapeze, all those guys are dead.
Hmm.
Mel and Dave are dead,
Yes.
these people, you know, I mean, I'm still here. I'm
It's,
carrying the torch for my friends.
but you've also kept your gift, your vocals, whereas a lot of people who put their bodies through lots of extreme
Mm.
things as they came through didn't keep their gifts. Where yours was, I
Yeah.
know you had like weight issues and stuff, but
Yeah.
your voice was untouched, wasn't it? Well, that's how it felt.
Yeah. I mean, for me, again, I studied 15 years ago. I started studying Buddhism, and I started understanding about breath work.
Yeah.
Breath work is very important for me. And I've got a big set of lungs going on here. So I don't really think about when I'm singing on stage, the next indicated note, whether it's a high C or a low A. I don't think about that note. Years ago, I see myself on video thinking about that note and about how I'm going to sing it. Now I just don't think about it. When I don't think about that next note or that next action I'm going to do, whether it's walking or swimming or whatever I'm doing, when I don't think about the next indicated thing, I'm okay.
I would say that for me as a listener listening to this album, I think it's the most. You sound so natural that
Hmm.
the notes you're reaching for and what you're singing is coming from your heart and how you feel about what those words mean to you. I, I'm not. Maybe a couple of decades ago, you might have been thinking, "Well, I could go for this." Regardless of what the meaning of the song was, perhaps I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but this feels really in tune with the spirit of what you want this song to mean to people listening to it.
Now, I've never said this before in an interview. This is, and you brought up something now that I feel I need to answer.
Okay.
As you know, with me, you've heard the stories that when I sing live, I tend to do a lot of falsetto singing and
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. People call it whatever they want to do. But in the studio, it doesn't happen that way. I think for me, and I see Prince was an old friend of mine. I see the way he sang live too. It's the same way. We just get in that moment where we use our voice in the way we feel we should use it. But in the studio, it's very dynamic in the way I don't have to sing anything super, super high. I do some high singing, but I don't do anything that's like abnormal. In the
Yeah.
live setting, I may do stuff that is quite wild. But for me, singing in the studio is very natural. I think you said it yourself. This album sounds very natural vocally.
Totally. Totally. It sounds like someone who's very comfortable where they are, but equally, as you say, what you're saying is very personal to you. But equally, I
Yeah.
think draws us in as listeners to be part of that personal journey.
Thank you, Phil. You know, again, this album could be my last. And I say that to you very formidably because, as you know yourself, long playing albums now, we all know that people listen to two or three songs and it's done, or they
Yeah,
buy one song on iTunes. Am I correct? So,
yeah.
and for me, these 10 songs are mini movies, as you can imagine the way I feel about it. And, you know, it took a lot of work to write those songs and to produce those songs. I don't think I want to do that again, you know, because I don't know how much time I've got left to do this. So for me, making live long players probably won't work again.
I mean, the track Heel is a good example of that. If you only listen to the first 30 seconds, you have no idea what you're missing. And also about the just past the halfway point, there's that bit when it stops and that guitar riff comes in. You wouldn't know that was there if
No.
you wouldn't know that was there. And you're missing a real kind of emotive punch there that
Oh,
comes
you
with,
know, like the song "Feel" with that breakdown
yeah.
where that strat comes in. That I mean, that was like a second song I was writing, and I thought, no, that's going to work there, you know, and in the Golden as well, you know.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, and you know, and obviously the Lost Parade is very heavy. So this is all Glenn. All these things are Glenn, you know. Then Come and Go is a completely different thing, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I love Into the Golden. It was it all my time. I was broken. I want to be free. I want to live in the golden. Again, they're lyrics that obviously for us, for me listening, you're trying to get to the just on the inside of the door to find out what it
Yeah.
means. There's a lot of I think it's I love this kind of music and I love what you do, Glenn, because you do bounce from one genre to the next and across them all. So I think I say you're like a renaissance man in music, the way you just everything's blurred the way you do this. But I love the way that the more you listen to these songs, the more they give you. And I think that's what I love about your
You
songwriting.
know, Phil, thank you so much. In some of these songs, the pain you're hearing is in now in my recovery because if you had so much pain or trauma in your life, regardless of what it was, Uh, there's only one way. You can succumb and go away, or you can use that as a metaphor to arise again. So you can hear it in the Golden, and you can hear it in the Lost Parade. There's a lot of pain in there, and then you can hear the energy I'm giving back, saying, I'm still here, and I'm still loving it."
Do you find, obviously, you're about to go on a huge tour off to Netherlands and Germany, and you eventually come back to the UK in October. And obviously, there'll be some songs, quite a few songs, I hope, from this album in the
It
set. But
will.
obviously, you've got to put other things in as well. Where you are in the present moment and how you sing, how do you find it spiritually, emotionally? How you sing some of the songs where lyrically you probably feel more detached from them now because of what you've been through with your life and where you are
I
currently.
think even though, yeah, the set list I'm going to choose, Phil, uh, although some songs were written back in the day, I'm only choosing songs that are actual what recovery for me, like songs like First Step of Love, of course,
Of course.
and there are songs to me when and by the way, I'm choosing these songs that I feel I need to do for cathartic and therapeutic reasons.
Yeah,
When I'm singing these particular songs, and I can't give you the set list, but
that's okay.
Addiction. I mean, I'll be doing that one because it's the tale of a guy that was almost dead, And here I am, all these years later, and I'm hoping this tour for me is a rekindle of a burning desire to continue. I don't want it to be the last thing I do. In today's age, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. But
No.
I think this particular, because I've been doing the Purple set list for quite a while now, and I'm done with that. I think there'll only be one Purple song in the show. So for me, doing this particular show with 3 songs from Chosen will be a dramatic piece of work.
And I guess you say this could be your last album with Frontiers. The album comes out in September, isn't it? I've got it.
Yeah,
Yes, September the 5th.
yeah.
I mean, after that, because you can go in any direction, and you've got a whole raft of fans around the world who would just follow your voice, and
Mm.
that you perhaps the next album could be something literally just wherever you want to take us.
I can give you an exclusive. I think this will be the last rock album I make,
Hmm.
but it might not be the last album I make.
Excellent.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying I've got plans, but I
No,
am
no.
thinking about things that won't be too far away from what I've been doing. And if you like albums like Feel and First
Yeah.
Underground, you'll know what I'm hinting at.
Yeah.
It'll be more for the vocals than
Yeah.
heavy
For
guitar.
the groove, for the feel. Yeah.
But at some point, Phil, I think you might understand me here. It's always been about that voice. And when you take away disrupting instruments so you can hear that voice, when I did the John Lord tribute at the Albert Hall, when you
Yeah, I
had
was there.
myself
Yeah.
and you had a 73-piece orchestra, and that was it, and no drums and no guitar,
Yeah.
that's what I consider to be the pure Glenn Hughes voice. And as I close out my career, whenever that's going to be, I want my voice to be the only thing you want to hear if you come in to see Glenn is that voice. I'm not being disrespectful to anybody I'm working with, but the voice, this voice has been given to me is really a humbling gift sent to me. It's not really me. I'm just portraying what God has given to me.
I did feel that with this album, Glenn, because now we're running out of time now. That this album instrumentally, you've got some great musicians playing with you, but everyone seems more. It isn't like the albums that you might have done in the past, where now it's time for the guitar solo and the guitar solo
Yeah.
really lets rip. This is more. Everyone seems to be blending in, not to overtake or suppress the voice, so that you are
Well,
the voice
exactly.
is a
That's why.
central part.
That's why. Again, I am the only writer. And by the way, in the production quality of the album, Soren, my guitar player, helped me do it. But he also understands the predicament we're in right now, realizing my age and how many years have I got left to do this. I think what I and the people around me want to portray is that we've got this voice, and this I may be. People say, "Is Glenn the last man standing from his peer group?" I can't say that myself. I have a lot of good friends, and you know who they are in my age group.
Yeah.
But if I am the last man standing, please just listen to that voice. I'm talking in the third person. I'm not saying anything about how good it is or bad it is, but let's just take a listen to the voice.
It's a Glenn, your voice is a force of nature, and I know what you mean when you play live and you're in the moment and you head off towards the stratosphere sometimes, and I think because you can, and I think people find that thrilling because in your peer group, there isn't really anyone on the radar that is still sounds like you, that voice. And also reading your book, what you went through, you think, well, how can that be intact? But it's there, and
Another
it's
thing, another thing I've never
fantastic.
touched on in an interview, and I'm so glad you mentioned that. When we talk about the stratospheric voice, and if you understand R&B music and black music like I do, if you think about Smokey Robinson or Marvin Gaye and Stevie Wonder and Prince, for example, those guys use their voice in the same kind of fashion. They just sing R&B falsettos, and that's the way I do it, but again, it's something I only do, Phil, when I feel it necessary in the moment.
Well,
And by the way, each night I play sing live, I might be doing it in places I never did it before, but I don't really think about those moments. I'm all thinking about is delivering the song that people know the melody. I never change the melody. I never change the lyric, but I really do enjoy being Glenn.
well, it's a bit like Aretha Franklin singing "Amazing Grace" in the gospel
Yeah.
choir, isn't it? Where she would suddenly feel something, and she would just go off up a mountain with a voice. I mean, it's because that's what she felt, and that's where she went. So
And by
I
the way,
understand that.
that's the way I started my career in 1965, listening to Stevie back then. He knows this story, and that's the way I deliver my music, and I love singing, Phil. I love singing.
Well, we love your voice, Glenn. So, so I hope you do something else beyond this. But on September the 5th, this album Chosen comes out, everybody, and it's absolutely spellbinding. I absolutely love it. I'm very lucky that I was given early access to
Thank
listen
you,
to it, but
Phil.
I will be buying a copy. You're on tour, and that's one hell of a tour.
Phil, you
To
got to promise me where are you located?
I'm located in Cornwall in the UK. I live by the sea, a bit like you, but not
I'm
California.
sorry. I think the closest I'm going to get to you is like Bristol or
Bristol. Yeah.
Port. You got to come and say hi to me, man.
That'd be great.
You really got to come and meet me so I can shake your hand, because this is a really good interview, and you opened a lot of doors for me this morning that I hadn't really opened before, and I want you to know how important. I would love to meet you, man. I would like that.
Well, thank you so much, Glenn. Thank you, and best wishes to you and Gabby. I hope you have a lovely day ahead.
Thank you.
And everybody, glenhughes.com. All the information you need is out there.
I
So
look forward to seeing you all in the UK in October, everybody. I love you all. Thank you, Phil.
thank you. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you.
So a huge thank you to my guest, Glenn Hughes. Those of you that know me reasonably well will know that Deep Purple are pretty much my favorite band, and anyone who's ever sailed in that ship are my favorite musicians. So the chance to talk to a member of that club is a highlight so far of my career doing this. And that was Glenn Hughes. An absolute tour de force as a vocalist. I would recommend his autobiography because it's a story of almost redemption, success against all the odds. I mean, this is a guy who has had multiple lives in many ways, so much success, and for many of us who followed his career, we would just see these albums come out like "Play Me Out" and Hughes Thrall, not realizing the battles and the pain and the addictions that was going on behind the scenes, really. But I feel that as Glenn came to the other side of that, which took decades, and people just stuck by him. Big musicians, many of them are no longer around. the music he's making now is some of the most profound he's ever done. Glenn is a very spiritual person, and I think that comes out in his music. I think he's a very vulnerable person, and I think his skin is like paper thin in how he takes things on board and how he perceives the world, and he really is in the moment. And I found that this album is very uplifting. I put on my T-shirt that music is the healer and the doctor, and music being a healer is something that means a lot to Glenn, because it has, and it drives him forwards, and I absolutely love this record. And we were talking about during the interview about the fact that Glenn has got different genres, different types of music. Me and Sue like different albums that he's done. There's so many ballads, Coast to Coast, and from Trapeze, and off this latest album, there's the track which I mentioned, Come and Go. Absolutely beautiful. Decades in between them, but absolutely stunning. But he can sing anything. I've even seen him sing literally a phone book, I think on Australian TV sometime. But he sings from the heart, and he writes from the heart, and an absolutely wonderful artist. And I feel absolutely honoured to be able to talk to Glenn Hughes. I really do. Go to glennhughes.com. All the dates from the tour that's coming up, it goes right across Europe at the time we're doing this and comes back to the UK, are up there. September the 5th, the album comes out on Frontier Records, Chosen. It's a rock album, the first one in 9 years, but it's got lots of soul on it to me. It's got lots of feeling on it. It's a superb album. Thank you so much, everybody, for being with us. Thank you so much, everyone who's checked out the website at nowspinning.co.uk. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, to the podcast. Visit us on social media, whatever social media platform you're on, so are we. Remember, music is the healer and the doctor. Become a patron, a YouTube member. Get access to all of our podcasts, all of our shows ahead of anyone else. And plus, you can join our own private communities on WhatsApp and Facebook. And you can come to our own virtual pub called the Now Spinning Arms, where we meet twice a month. Take care, all of you. Keep spinning those discs, and I'll talk to you all very, very soon.